Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday evening, so let's begin. First up, residents of New Hampshire nursing homes will soon be allowed to have visitors. Facilities developing plans for no contact outdoor visits. Nursing homes in New Hampshire will soon be able to allow visitors under new guidance beginning and being released by the state. Health officials said Tuesday that long-term care facilities are developing plans to allow residents to have visitors in outdoor areas. Residents and visitors must remain at least 6 feet apart and wear face coverings, officials said. Health Commissioner Lori Shipperton said no contact will be allowed during the visits, and residents can have no more than 2 visitors at a time. The visitors must be at least 12 years old. Shipperton said the age restriction is necessary to help ensure compliance with the rules to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. The coronavirus has hit long-term care facilities in New Hampshire hard, with more than 34% of infections and 82% of deaths from COVID-19 linked to the facilities. Staff members of facility will be in the visiting area to make sure social distancing and mask wearing rules are allowed. But Shipperton said they will keep their distance to allow visitors and residents to have privacy. Each facility will develop its own plan, and some might be able to begin allowing visitors as soon as this weekend, Shipperton said. She said the flexibility is needed to allow the facilities to identify outdoor areas that can be used to determine how many visitors can be conducted at once. Any long-term care facility that's currently having a COVID-19 outbreak will not be allowed to have visitors, Shipperton said. COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 5,345 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 2,107,632 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 320 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 519 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire, and 115,998 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And now let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire right here, where current cases of COVID-19 are. Nashua, 50. And let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire, where total cases of COVID-19 are. Nashua, 546. And now let's take a look at these 3 charts here. Let's start with the first chart here, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here, current cases. In the purple, total current COVID-19 cases, and in the orange, current hospitalizations. And And let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations. In the red, deaths. And the blue, recovered. And let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases. Female and male of cases. And risk information. And let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And again, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Sununu creates commission to examine police transparency and accountability. Commission includes law enforcement, civil rights officials, and mental health experts. Governor Chris Sununu established a commission Tuesday to issue recommendations on improving transparency and accountability in law enforcement in New Hampshire. Sununu cited the death of George Floyd while in police custody in Minneapolis in establishing the commission, saying his death prompted a nationwide conversation on law enforcement, social injustice, and the need for reforms in law enforcement. The New Hampshire Commission on Law Enforcement Accountability, Community, and Transparency will examine police training, procedures related to the reporting and investigating of police misconduct, and the state of relationship between law enforcement and community they serve. The Commission will have 45 days to issue recommendations. This is not an issue where we want long and drawn out study commissions, Sununu said. This is an issue where we need to act now. We need to act soon. We are not at a crisis point in this state, but I'm not one to wait for a crisis. The Attorney General or his designee will chair the commission, which includes the Director of Police Standards and Training Council, the Executive Director of New Hampshire Commission for Human Rights, the President of the Manchester NAACP, and other representatives of law enforcement, the mental health community, and civil rights organizations. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the green, went up. Your Nasdaq closed in the green, went up. S&P 500 closed in the green, went up. Gold closed in the green, went up. Oil closed in the green, went up. U.S. 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the green, went up. And VIX closed in the red and went down. Dow jumps more than 500 points as Wall Street cheers record retail sales come back. Stocks rose on Tuesday as a record jump in retail sales, compelled with positive trial results from a potential coronavirus treatment and hopes of more settlements sent market sentiments soaring. 21 states reporting rise in COVID-19 cases. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
This morning, coronavirus infections rising in 21 states. In Florida, where beaches are now open, hospital beds are filling up, prompting Miami's mayor to postpone phase 3 of reopening.
We are seeing an uptick, particularly in the age demographic 18 to 35, and particularly after Memorial Day weekend.
11 states are seeing an increase in hospitalizations, including Texas, which is setting records almost daily for COVID-19 patients admitted to hospitals.
The key message is that we may be tired of this virus, but this virus is not tired of us.
A new projection from the University of Washington forecasting more than 200,000 deaths from the virus by October, mainly due to reopening measures. And a new CDC study finds people with common underlying health conditions are 12 times more likely to die from the virus. This as many states continue loosening lockdown restrictions.
We expect to have, it's like a record-setting crowd. We've never had an empty seat, and we certainly won't in Oklahoma.
This morning, President Trump refusing to cancel his rally in Tulsa this weekend, even as city officials urge him to postpone it, worrying the rally will lead to a jump in COVID cases. Thousands are expected to attend. All must agree not to sue if they get sick. Safety precautions will include temperature checks and passing out hand sanitizer and masks, but the campaign won't require people to wear them. And now United Airlines cracking down on passengers not wearing masks. The airline saying anyone not complying with its mask policy will be placed on an internal travel restriction list and will lose their travel privileges until the incident is reviewed. In North Carolina, NASCAR is moving next month's All-Star race from Charlotte to Bristol, Tennessee, due to the rising number of coronavirus cases in the Charlotte area. And in the NFL, ESPN reports a small number of players on the Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans have tested positive for the virus. Among them, Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott, who was criticized during the offseason for not following social distancing guidelines. Elliott's agent says he's feeling good. A source tells ESPN some of the infected players were asymptomatic.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for watching this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow with more news coverage. Good night and bye, everyone.